Primal Groudon Lava Lamp. Yes, this is happening. And how is it going to happen? I have no idea. But what I do know is that I'm once again the victim of harassment. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but once again somebody has been very enthusiastically pitching their idea. And the issue here? Seems like a lot of you tend to agree. So now it's my job to make this Primal Groudon Lava Lamp real. And I really hope they mean a Groudon-themed lava lamp and not a lava lamp in the shape of a Groudon, because that is not going to be possible. So let's start by figuring out what a lava lamp even is. And I just so happen to have one right here. And now when we open it up, we have ourselves a mystery bottle and its stand with a light inside of it. And I really hope it's not broken on arrival. Regardless, nothing's going to happen for at least an hour while the bulb heats everything up. And what is everything in here anyways? Well, at the bottom here, we have paraffin wax, which is typically used in candle making, and this is what eventually is going to blob up. The clear liquid here is typically a mixture of salt and water, or possibly even mineral oil. However, these things can be pretty finicky, so here's why I'm not gonna make one. You see, this is all because of Groudon, because not only would it completely interfere with all the cool bubbly blobs, but it could also potentially melt as well. Also, making the correct solution requires a lot of trial and error. A while ago, YouTuber Technology Connections posted a video about his trials and tribulations of making a bottle-shaped lava lamp at home. But here's the thing. It involves dangerous chemicals, you have to keep it perfectly sealed, it's not even guaranteed to work, and mine's gonna be so much bigger. So I'm gonna follow his advice when he said,
"Do not try this at home."
Now I have a better idea. For those of you who are confused about the title of the video, I am in fact going to be making an eruption lamp.
Ooh, couldn't help notice that you weren't subscribed. How embarrassing. Let me just fix that real quick.
What does that mean? Well, Groudon can learn a very powerful move called Eruption, which does a boatload of damage when it has high health. And according to Groudon's lore, it was said to cause a whole bunch of eruptions that expanded the land masses of Earth. So why not have a bunch of lava-looking liquid shoot out of a little mini volcano? I mean, this has a lot of potential to be a lot cooler than some slow-floating paraffin blobs.
Now, quick Google searches of DIY lava lamps will show a bunch of kids' crafts where you have a layer of water and a layer of vegetable oil that's propelled by an Alka-Seltzer tablet. Now, this effect only works for a couple minutes, but I want this to work anytime you plug it in. So I'm going to try to propel the lava liquid with a mini air pump instead. But first, I have to go figure out what I'm going to use for the glass. So what place could be better than the Container Store? Well, it turns out the store failed to contain anything in the shape of what I wanted. But in a stroke of luck, it turned out World Market of all places had exactly what I was looking for. So if you're trying to make this yourself, make yourself over to the planter section and skip the Japanese snack temptations.
Cause that's how they get ya.
Now, after doing a bit of measuring and CAD work, my top and base models are ready to be printed out. For the terrain, I followed a Blender tutorial for how to make rugged landscapes. And after adding a mini volcano, I made sure there was enough space to have a reservoir for all the lava to settle in. And finally, the star of the show, Primal Groudon. And yeah, I'm not gonna make this one from scratch because my PokePrints already made an incredible printable model. So if you wanna try to make this at home, you'll need both my files from Patreon and their Groudon files from Cults.com. So now after scaling Groudy down to 90% of its original size, it's ready for printing. So it's time to put everything together. And of course you can't forget its weird little cheek things. I also printed out an iced out translucent Groudon, but I think the bold and clean colors of the first Groudon just works better. So maybe iced out Groudon will come back some other time. Now for the liquids. And after trying a bunch of mixtures involving castor oil, mineral oil, glycerin, and water, I realized due to the different density levels, the lava is going to have to be water with a little bit of food coloring and hydrogen peroxide to prevent mold, and that means for the clear liquid, I'm going to have to buy a lot more mineral oil. A concerning amount of mineral oil.
I'm sure he's not the only person to walk out of Costco with 1,000 bottles of baby oil. That's definitely the normal thing that happens.
Now that I've been put on a watch list, it's time to put everything in the tank. We'll start with the tubing that goes into half of the terrain, And this is actually going to snap back together with magnets. And I know that last video didn't have any magnets in it, which snapped a 8 video streak, so I'm making sure that doesn't happen again. And after fixing the terrain down with hot glue, I got a bit ahead of myself with the lava and almost forgot to put Groudon in the jar.
Don't make it weird.
Now the only thing left to do was pour in the mineral oil. And this is where things went horribly wrong. So yeah, all I could do was save what I could, deal with the goopy mess, and try to figure out how to actually anchor this thing down. The next day, I decided to use some epoxy resin to hold down the terrain, and that should be infinitely better. Now I just have to retrieve Groudon from what looks like a crime scene, and after cleaning off the slimy situation, I'm confident it will hold this time. Now as I bring out the freshly spray painted 3D printed parts, I'm going to be using an old LED strip for both the top and the bottom to provide the perfect amount of mood lighting. Alright, attempt number 2. And so far so good. Now, the light diffraction makes Groudon look a little bit wider than normal, but I can live with it. Maybe I'll replace it with an abnormally tall Groudon someday. But enough talking, let's see if this project will finally work. Okay, Groudon, that's enough. We don't need to...
Alright. Hey, knock it off, man. Hey, I'm not mucking around here. You're really starting to tick me the hell off.
Knew this would happen. So, in general, what did we learn today? Well, harassment works, hot glue is never reliable, and always make sure to check your apartment for sleeping Rayquazas. Okay, but in all seriousness, I relearned a lot about the properties of water, oils, and waxes. And I wouldn't have done so if it wasn't hands-on, because that's really the only way I care to learn. And that's the philosophy that drives today's sponsor, Brilliant, where their lessons have you actively learning the material with their hands-on approach. Unlike a lecture where somebody talks at you for an hour, Brilliant's lessons guide you through learning with animations and interactive modules to make sure the information actually sticks with you. And as you go through, you start to accumulate XP, which I like, because yeah, I'm a bit of a gamer. I actually use Brilliant to brush up on some of my Python in the advanced sections, and it really made me wish some of my early college classes could have kept me this engaged. They also provide lessons for other topics in STEM, including electricity and magnetism, which, yeah, of course I checked that out.
So be sure to check out the link below, brilliant.org/BigGridCreates, to receive 30 days free and 20% off their yearly subscription. And thanks to Brilliant for sponsoring the video, and as always, special thanks to the executive level patrons. Pow Pow, Harley Jean, Grandma Watson, Marco Carini, Sally and Dave, Zebramang, Connor Rhodes, Don Necco, Evan Timmerman, Jameson Zabalos, and Jimmers.